Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7. Live on hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
Hey, it's Icarice, and I'm here to tell you about Hotcast for Podcasting. We are a podcasting studio located in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Hot 702.5 FM studios. You can book online at hot7025fm.com. Just click on Hotcast. You can book and find your times right there. Thank you for booking with Hotcast for Podcasting.
Hi. Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J. Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 7025 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Yeah. Jones, hey. Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey. If you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams, and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.
minimum working very diligent on getting it done. Getting many, I just on my way here got another approval letter for a young man I met in a barbershop. You know, I tell my agents on my team, I said, listen, you can go to the barbershop any given day of the week, and there's somebody new in the chair. So it's a great marketing place, right? It's a great place to get out information to someone who may not hear a radio show. People who are at work don't have a radio around, don't have the ability to tune in. But I do want to let you know, this gentleman talking in the barbershop, two gentlemen actually, got approved just in the last 2 months from the barbershop. So it doesn't matter where you're getting the information. I need you to reach out to me. Let's do something about getting approved, getting yourself where you need to be so that the approval can work for you. If you're not ready, remember, it's never no. It just may be not right now. Right now, you're not ready. But neither was I when I originally applied back in 2015. I was not ready. By 2016, I had gotten where I needed to be. It took me 90 days to get my credit where it needed. I didn't have trade lines, so I didn't have what you call, the numbers or the FICO, if you will, to get where I need to be as far as having the FICO score needed to get into homeownership. But with a little assistance and persistence, I was able to move forward, get what I needed, and guess what? I'm going into my 10th year into homeownership, living in the same house. And guess what? This is wonderful news, is my mortgage payment hasn't changed at all. The same $1,350 I was paying on my mortgage.
I refinanced a home back in 2020. My payment went up $100, and I took $80,000 out of the house, but I lowered my interest rate. Now, I want many of you to understand is that over the last going on 10 years, how many times have your rent increased? And every time looks like your lease expires, they want to go up on the rent. Now, remember, lease always locks in the payment, the rate. So you want to try, if you know you're going to be there a couple of years, sign a 3-year lease. Lock it in. You don't have to. You can always negotiate 3-year lease when you're originally going in to lease a place. Do a 2 or 3 year. So they don't continue to increase. But the wonderful thing about a mortgage, it's the same all the time unless you do something different, such as refinance, a home equity line of credit, something in that sort, right? But other than that, it remains the same. So when we talk about closing the gap in racial homeownership, 28% of Black residents are homeowners in Nevada. 28%. Overall homeownership rate is 60.4%. So see how low we are on the totem pole right now? And many of you are in position with even the 401k on your job. Many of you are in position with just having a 600 FICO score. And some of you could be in position by talking with a lender, finding out what do you need to do to positionally be ready. 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group. This indicates the significant disparity in homeownership rates between Blacks and whites. Watch this. 45.9% of Black households in the U.S. are homeowners. I said 45.9% of Black households in the U.S. are homeowners. White household rate, which is around 73.8%. There's a I like to call it referred to as a racial homeownership gap. Now, I believe my part is to encourage you, inspire you, motivate you to get on the phone, get off your seat or do nothing. Let's do something. Let's find what it is I need to do. How are we going to do that? Contact me, 702-349-0162. Let's talk about if it's not now, because remember, it's never no, but if it's not now, then when? We can give you somewhat of a projection, a guideline, an idea of about when, after knowing what your FICO looks like right now. Many of you are afraid to look at your FICO. I just don't want to know. I'm going to tell you, the only way to get into homeownership, stop these landlords from pissing all over you with these rates going crazy. He goes and buy him a new car and he charges you $300 additional or $200 additional rent. That doesn't happen in a mortgage. So I lived in a home for 5 years. And out of the 5 years, my rental rate went up 3 times. I've been in a home almost 10 years and my rate never changed. My mortgage has remained to be in the $1,300. Now you got tax and insurance. I pay like $2,200, but my mortgage is $1,350. Now understand, there is mortgage insurance that you have to have, right? You're going under FHA. So there are some fees that you're going to pay. The Federal Housing Administration, there is an insurance policy they put out on it. You know, you're paying mortgage insurance. You know, VA. Now, let's talk about it for a moment, because many of you are veterans and you're sitting on the ability to purchase with no money down. Now, of course, there is a transaction fee, right? There's a transaction fee in there, which is typically that 3.5% that you would have paid on FHA. But because the Federal Housing Administration backs your loan, then in many cases, you're not having to pay that up front. But it's a funding fee. It's a fee that you pay, a funding fee that's paid, but it's added into the loan versus coming out of pocket, which is a benefit, Now, let's talk about veterans who have purchased in the past, and for whatever reason, you don't own that same home, whether it's a deed in lieu, which means you turned in the keys, a foreclosure, or you did a short sale, and it's been longer than 3 years. With all of that, it puts you in a position again that you can purchase and reinstate your DD-214. But how do we do that? We need to talk to a lender. We need to talk to lenders who've been vetted, who know the business, who know how to get a program, get you in a program that will close the deal. Now, there's a lot of programs out there that are open that have funding right now. But let me say this. Shout out to attorney Aaron Ford, who is fighting very hard for Nevada, that we could be able to have some of the programs still available, even in our school and education. So with our down payment programs, would I bother you by telling you use it or lose it? Because that's what we need to think about. We really need to consider, if I want to use that no money down program, I need to get myself together, because these landlords eventually sell those homes. Now, you end up going to an apartment because it's all you. But wait a minute. Let me hold up. Pump brakes. Watch this. Apartment rent, 3-bedroom, $2,100. A house is $2,400, $2,300. But because what house or renting a house, the requirements are so stringent. Many of those people want a 640, 650 FICO score to rent a house. Well, hell, I can rent you a house with a 600, a 580. So why would I go to renting when I can sell you a home with a 580 FICO, but to rent you got to have a 640 or better? So what do you keep doing the same thing expecting different results? Many of you have family members. I've recently sold, it's about a year now, 3 family members a 4-bedroom home. They were seniors. Each of them, they were family members. Each of them, they bought a 4-bedroom. Each one got a room for themselves. And then I guess one room would just be a bonus room that they could use for a study or what have you. But it's enough space. They were able to go in on the loan together. Why can't we do that more often? If you know your sister and you together can make something, you single, she single, the kids play together all the time. So why is it that we can't sacrifice 3 to 5? I'm just making food for thought. 3 to 5 years, live together. We're going to put our bread together, as my Latino communities have done so often, my Asian communities so often. But when I ask the black community, it's like I'm cursing somebody out. Well, I'm just being a little transparent, because the Asians do it all the time. They have their own community. We can't stick together to get a community. They got a whole community over there called Chinatown. And at the end of the day, they've learned to put monies together. My Latino community, they put money together. They go in on a house and they live in it until we could build enough equity. Then who's going to be first? Whether you got to draw the name in a hat, who going to get the equity, go put it down on another house? Because you didn't change your job. It's just hard to save money in this economy. How can you save $15,000, $20,000 for a down payment? But I can give it to you. But you will have to pay possibly some items on your credit off to get where you can get those type of numbers. You may not be able to have them right away, but understand, it's doable. I wasn't there. Please, brother, my sister, understand. I wasn't there either, and it took me a minute. It took me like 94 days, 90 days or so. Because that was when I finally made the call and I started getting on myself and being determined I'm going to change my living situation. Because I understood 3 years at $1,500 is where I was paying. I gave $54,000. And I thought, well, if I stayed there 3 years at $1,500, now that's when rent for a 5-bedroom Centennial was $1,500. That same house now rents for $2,600. So the landlord, who's a doctor, purchased that home for $187,000. You know how many times he paid that house off? He paid cash for it, but the money he borrowed, he paid that off. And by the renters, like you, are paying off somebody's mortgage, and they're taking the equity that you paid off, and they're going to do it again. They're going to flip their money on the sweat of your brow. Maybe that's an old saying. But from your hard work, from your getting up, getting the kids ready for school, getting them out the door, then you got to get them to daycare, and then you got to get to work. Then you got to get off work, go get them out of daycare, take them home. Listen, you're working way too hard to pay somebody else's bill. Can I just admit that for you? You're working way too hard. I commend mothers how hard they work on getting the kids. Now, their fathers, we've done it. I was a single dad for some years. You know, I didn't have little kids to do it, but I see moms with little kids having to get them to daycare and then get back and get to work. And hats off. That's a real job. But why not? But why would I continue to do that every day and pay somebody else's mortgage when there's a guy on the radio, the wealth builder, telling you there's some free grant monies or funding available? All you got to do is contact him. All you got to do is reach out. You don't know the contact? If you're driving, you can't write it down. Go to Google. Ask Google to give you Greg Deville. My number will pop right up. Contact me directly. 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty Group. I want to help you here in Nevada get that funding that's available before this administration cuts funding. Now, I beg you, don't let the money go and then you contact me later. Oh, Deville, I've heard people been hearing me for years. Do you realize I've been on radio for 9 years on several different stations, regularly, every week. But guess what? Sometimes I hear from people a year later, 2 years later. I asked one guy, he had been hearing me over 2 years and finally made the call. And when he did make the call, guess what? He got approved. He said, man, if I should have been done this. And somebody said, well, the timing. Let me say this. Procrastination cuts your timing. So when we sit back and well, I'm going to do it. I don't know that. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and say you don't know if you're ready. It's no obligation. Contact me directly. Call me directly. Hit me up. Holler at me. Text me, 702-349-0162. I will set you with a lender. Listen, it's better to know where you are. We'll sit at it and watch this. And you probably never thought of it, but we'll sit at a dealership 3-4 hours trying to buy a car. 3 or 4 hours. I've seen it. Sitting there trying to get financing to buy a car. To find out if we could purchase a home takes all of 30 minutes. Sometimes less. All you got to do is reach out to me. I'm going to send you to a lender depending on if you're VA, FHA, first-time buyer, whatever. I'll set you with that lender who handles that type of, programming. No money down. Maybe you want to use a 401k. There's a lender for everybody. Contact me directly. I want to set you up with the lender. Find out where you are. If it's not now, when? If it's not now, when can I get approved? I myself, as I've already mentioned for somebody just tuning in, I wasn't ready in the beginning, but here I am 9 years later in the same house. But I wasn't ready when I started. I had to, the bill, my lender literally threw my file back. You ain't ready, man. But I'm telling you what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work with you. Here's what I need you to do. Gave me a game plan, bro. Gave me a strategy. Can we do that for you? Maybe you're not ready in the beginning. But let's get this straight. We got to close the gap on racial home ownership. 45.9% of black households in the U.S. are homeowners. 45.9. In Nevada, only 28% of black residents are homeowners in Nevada. Can we close the gap? I want to do my part in helping you close that gap, raise those numbers. Let's get back. Now, for someone who owns a home and you need to sell that home, listen, I don't just help people buy. I just put a listing up this morning. I got another listing across town, and I'm working on another one in Henderson. But I don't expect them to be on the market long. But what I do expect is to be able to get buyers to buy these homes. I want to see us close that gap on black ownership. Because my Latino community, they're dealing the game. I'm not as competitive with them or at all. But I'm concerned about my black community and why we won't get out there and own, but we own all these nice cars, but we park in apartment buildings. Or we rent somebody's house, and then when they decide to sell, now you stuck. Now you can't go rent somebody else's house because now they want a 640 FICO. And if you do, then don't do it. Because I can get you a home with a 600 credit score. Why do you go to rent somebody's house when what you're paying in rent nowadays is what actual mortgage is? There's an apartment that I know someone that rents for. It's a 3-bedroom apartment upstairs, and I think they're paying like $2,100 for an apartment. Your only backyard is a balcony. $2,100. It's hard to believe. I remember Nevada, an apartment was max $1,300. I'm talking about these little 900, 1,100 square foot apartments. They stacking them in like sardines. $2,100. You know why investors are buying properties in Nevada? And they're renting them to you. They don't even live here. They're in California, Idaho, different states, Canada. Come here, they buy property, and they rent it to you, and you're from Nevada. Why would somebody else come and buy your property that you should be getting positionally ready for? They're buying them cash money, and then they're renting them to you because there's no rent cap. So they're starting to say, you know what, man, I buy this house for $450,000, and $450,000 in the bank might get them $300 a month. If maybe I'll give them the max $500 a month. At $450,000 in a bank, $500 a month interest on it. Let's say even if it was $800. He'd rather buy property and get $2,200 a month or $2,600 a month. You see why it's happening? But what's happening is now your neighborhood is getting to be infested with rental market, with all rentals. As soon as the house comes for sale, these investors are buying up. You know why? Because we're not getting positionally ready to purchase. You got taxes. Did you do anything wisely with it? Did you contact the lender or your credit department? Get a copy of your FICO score. Let's see what we could do to pay off something. Because you can't dispute everything. Some things you will have to pay. Because some of the debt actually you made. So while we're doing this, let's look at what we could do to get positionally ready. Because today, closing the gap on racial home ownership. Closing the gap. Move on with getting with a lender. These are some points I want to make sure I got out today. Number one, to close the gap, let's get with a lender. Contact me. I got a few questions I need to ask to decide, how to better help you. 702-349-0162. So number one, we want to review our credit. We want to get that copy of that credit report, review it with the lender. Because, see, a lot of people say, because I got medical. Medical is not a debt. Not in the sense of a home purchase. Not in the sense of purchasing. It's not that kind of debt. Lenders aren't looking at your medical. Lenders are looking at your ability to pay. Have you paid your credit cards? Have you been 30 days late? You can use now. We can build a credit score, right? Because now we have the thing called rental karma, where people the lender can actually talk to your landlord, get rental verification. You've been on time for the last year, right? The longer you've been there, the better it looks for you. You've been paying on time. Well, it's obvious you're paying because you ain't been evicted, right? So it's obvious you're paying. Now, remember, and while I'm talking about paying rent, did you know by law that if you haven't paid your rent between the 8th and the 10th, I have to serve you an eviction notice, pay or quit notice? Because that could take me into another month. And I could go 3 months with no payment. So I have to file, and it's mandatory that I file now. It's mandatory that I file now with this pay or quit notice because it sets me back because either you're going to pay or quit. But with the mortgage, now that's typically between the 3rd and the 5th, pay or quit by the 8th. Now, with the mortgage, it isn't late until after the 15th. Your mortgage isn't due until the 15th. And technically, as long as you pay it, today is the April 30th. As long as you pay it today before midnight, before the cock crows, pay it before midnight, like 11:59. No, not 11:59, 11:55. But anyway, you don't get a 30-day late. And then if you get a 30-day late, it's not like they're looking to evict you. Someone called me recently and said, Deville, don't look like I'm going to make this payment this month. Are they going to put me out? It's not a rental. It takes up to 120 days. The 90-day, you're going to get, 30, 45 days, you'll start getting letters of notice of default and things like that, saying, hey, how can we help you? We understand you're behind, and it happens to people. And they'll send you that nice little letter. But after about 120 days, right, now you're going to start getting these letters of consideration of, foreclosure. Now, that's where you need to start, But if you're getting 3 months behind, that's less money you're going to get out of the equity. So if you don't have a way to catch up on those payments, let's deal with it. You can. And the sad part is people have great equity. The guy has over $200,000 in equity. But because the FICO score is required to have a 660 or 680 or better, they don't have it. So that $200,000 in equity, guess what? Just sits there. And the only way you're going to be able to attain it is to sell the property. You can't touch it. No lender's willing to refinance you. No lender's willing to do a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, because you're over 30 days behind. Getting 30 days behind hurts your FICO, hurts your chances. But not having the FICO score kills your chances. So just this information I want to put out there. So again, number one, we want to start by closing the racial gap of home ownership. We want to get with the lender, right? Review the credit. Now, again, if you have the 401k, you only need a 580, 560 FICO score down through there. Now, if you're a VA, you only need a 550 credit score, right? Minimal. These are minimal numbers. You can have better. That's fine. But the minimal that I can work with you, I'm going to give you the minimals because you may be there. You only may have a 600. But if you got a veteran certificate, or let's say your grandmother or your grandfather was a veteran, one of them may expire, they were the veteran, the grandmother being married at the time of their demise, at the time of their passing, guess what? Grandma, I just sold a house to a grandmother who used her deceased husband's benefit. I just sold another lady. She's a senior. She's 75 years old. It's not that they're too old, because keep in mind, as long as you're living, you're going to either pay rent or mortgage. So why not pay a mortgage to leave an inheritance? Because that's scriptural, right? That's scriptural. Wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, right? So you leave something behind versus, all these clothes and shoes and hats and stuff like that's all we got to leave. We got to do better. But we don't know better. We can't do better if we don't know better. But now the information is out there. What are you going to do? How are you going to change, right? So the 401k opportunities, don't let the interest rates. Let's talk about that for a moment. Don't let the interest rates bother you. Too many people say, well, what are the rates? I'm going to wait till next year. It's going to be higher. With this administration, it's going to be higher. It's jacked up. But let's say, for clarity's sake, you're paying 100% interest rate when you rent with no ROI. You know what ROI is, right? Return on your investment. In other words, when you pay rent, you moved in that house, sometimes they charge you triple the amount, right? 3 times the amount for deposit and an extra month. So you have to pay, let's say it was $2,000 or $2,200. You have to pay $6,600 to get in the house. Now you're moving out 3 years later. The only thing you have is the $4,000 because they're going to take some of that money back. But with equity in home in 4 years, guess what? You may have $60,000, $80,000. The pressures are different renting versus owning. How do we accept the fact that I can purchase a home with no money down? As a real estate agent, I'm able to purchase a home and get a commission. I thought that was wonderful. When I found that out, I'm like, really? Okay, cool. Got 12. I think I made $10,500 on my purchase. And I was able to put it right into the house and do some stuff I want to do right off the bat. But let me say this to you. These programs, we don't know how long they're for, how long they're going to last, how long they're going to be here. So if I could admonish you, let's do something that's going to make us get the funds on our side. So I mean it like this. If you apply now and the lender get your approval, then they're going to set X amount of dollars aside. So if that money is gone or taken or dispersed back to the government, because remember, what we don't use, we lose. But as long as your name is in the pot with that funding stays. So get your position ready to get the funding to stay for you. 702-349-0162. Now, the other thing I want to talk about was if you're behind in your mortgage, we could do a pre-foreclosure sale. If you know you can't catch up on the mortgage, let's consider a pre-foreclosure sale, meaning we're going to sell it before they foreclose. Now, that means you don't pay any money up front. There's no cost up front associated with this transaction. We're going to help you put the house on the market. We're going to get it ready so that we can sell it. Now, because time is of the essence, we can't go top value on it. We have to go a little bit below the market to try to beat out the time, because remember, time is of the essence. So with that being said, we're going to price it a little bit under the market. Houses in your neighborhood for sale, maybe we'll be just a little bit below that so we can get the activity. Same house, we just have a situation. Now, letting it get foreclosed on may take you 4 years to recover, versus a house that you sell, you could possibly come back within 6 months to a year. But I would recommend, if you sell the house, you're going to rent somewhere, rent for 1 year, and then come back. Save that money. That's not free money. Those funds you have left from equity, we're going to use those funds to get us into our next house. This time we'll be wiser and smarter, and we'll do better. Wouldn't you agree? We've learned, don't take on too much debt, because that's the easiest way to get in trouble is we get too much debt. We went a stretch a little bit farther than we could stretch, and now we're underwater. I mean, things are so tight. God forbid we need brakes on the car. God forbid you need a radiator, or God forbid you need the air conditioner replaced because it's summertime. And it sets you to take the rent money because you need your car to go make the money, but you don't want to be in 110-degree weather. So you got to make a pimp decision. Do I fix the AC or do I pay the rent or the mortgage? Right? So those things put you in a little dilemma right there. So if you've gotten behind, you've got to notice a default. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Read your mail when it comes from the bank, because you want to know where their position is. Many times they'll work with you on a modification. Some get it, some don't. How do you determine who does? That's a bank matter, right? I know I've spoken to the bank. A lot of times they're looking at your track record. How often are you delinquent? How many times have you had your 30 days? Is this a repeat thing for you? Because remember, the bank doesn't want the property back. They really, really don't. They want the interest on the money, because the money the investor put into the bank, they're giving him maybe 1.5%, and they're selling it to you for 6.5%. You see, so they're making money on selling that money for a loan to you. So banks are into it for the interest. They're not into it for the house. Bank don't want your house. So people call me and say, the bank's trying to take my house. Hear me well. They don't want your house. The bank wants the interest. So if you can't catch up, then you leave them no choice. Now, when you tell me the bank wants the house, well, let me say this. When you sat at the title, or if the title had a mobile notary come to you, around page 7 or 8 in that stack of file that you signed, it's around page between 7 and 10, somewhere in there, where it's a promissory note. You promise to pay, and you admit that within 120 days of delinquent payments, they have a right to consider foreclosure. So you sign for that. So no lawyer, don't go pay money on a lawyer. Your lawyer can't stop a foreclosure. You signed your name and agreed that if you didn't pay within 100 and some say 90 days. But there's some grace out there because they don't want the house back. They really want you to catch up, right? They don't want a partial payment. They want the whole payment, because there's interest in that money that they're accounting to pay back to the investor, the guy who put his money in the bank that they loaned you, that they're responsible for. So don't go paying a lawyer. You could have put that on the mortgage. You could have put that, stacked that up to go and catch up on that mortgage. The lawyer charge you a retainer fee, $2,500, knowing darn well he cannot stop a foreclosure. You signed to agree on the premise that you'll pay, we will not foreclose. You pay 30 years at this rate, we good. But because life happened, things happen, you got behind. You're not the first, you won't be the last. Let me encourage you. If you know someone who's dealing with this right now, I've been in the real estate game over 40 years. And let me tell you something. I've helped many, countless numbers of families get into homes. And sometimes they get in trouble and they call me and they say, hey, Deville, man, I hit a hiccup, whatever the case, maybe a divorce, whatever. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. So if I got you in the house, I'm selling a house for people who've been divorced. Someone lost a loved one. They say, Deville, I can't afford it on one payment, on one, income. And maybe that other one, like I said, something happened, divorce, death, whatever. Then I've had to sell those homes. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help you. So whatever may have happened, not here to judge on what happened. I'm here to say, let's make the best deal we can with a buyer, get you that equity out of your home. Because if the bank takes the home, they say the equity comes back. I haven't seen it, but somebody told me they got it. I don't know how long it took. And I guess it is your equity. But why go through that? Because now if they take the house, you got to pay yourself to move out. You got to go put a deposit on all these gas and light and all that. You got to go out and get another space to live in. When I can sell that, a pre-foreclosure sale, and get you, let's say it's 80, 250,000. I got a client I'm selling right now. They're getting nearly 185,000. I had a client, they had 400,000. Each of them got like 200,000 each, because they had great equity in the home. They had been living there for years, but unfortunately, divorce came in about and sell the house, split it equally. But now, these are things that happen, and we understand. If we have to sell the home, by all means, your credit score won't allow you to get the home equity line of credit. No problem. Here's what we can do. Let's sit down. Let's discuss options that are available. If you've tried the modification and it doesn't work, then the next alternative is, if you don't have a rich Uncle Willie or somebody in your family that can bail you out, because you can't borrow the money because you're already underwater. No lender's going to loan. So if you can't borrow the money to get from underwater, it might be, and the bank won't modify it, the other best option may be, let's sell the property. And guess what? The commissions are paid out of the sale. So no upfront costs. So with no upfront costs, let's do something. Let's make a move. Let's deal with it. We could always, look, if you sell the house, you get your equity, you walk away with 80, 150,000, whatever the case, save your money, go pay rent for 1 year. But I want you to save that money, at least 60, 80,000, so that you could put down next year on a home and get back into home ownership. This time you're wiser and you're smarter. You won't allow the debt to accumulate to the place that you seem to have gotten involved with right now, like this, right? So lesson learned. You're not the first. As I mentioned, you won't be the last. But I want to help you get where you need to be, except life. We lifing out here, right? So behind your mortgage, can't rebound. Guess what? There's an alternative. I can help you with that. Contact me. Let's set up a date. You can text me. 702-349-0162. So the notice of default has come out to you. You need to do a pre-foreclosure sale. I can help with that. Or maybe you got to do a probate sale. So that means where someone died intestate, meaning someone died without they like to say a will, but without a living trust. Because even with a will, there's still a probate matter. A will just gives the judge how to disperse, but the living trust gives the attorney. So a will still allows for court costs. It still allows for realtor fees, right? There's still other costs associated with having the will. Versus a living trust, there's no cost. It's read by the attorney. After the person passes, the attorney says, Mr. John Brown decided he wanted to give the boat to so-and-so. He wanted to give his tool collection to so-and-so, right? So you disperse how your wishes are. So with that being said, the living trust is way more valuable than having a will. So when you tell me whomever may have passed away left a will, I'm like, yeah, well, we're still going to court. Still going to court. And you're still going to pay money out of that estate because the judge has to get paid, the courts get paid. There's going to be money. So if you haven't done a living trust, you want to consider the living trust. You want to take into consideration the living trust because it gives out order specific. Okay. Now, also, we want to talk about residual income. Now, the residual income comes in where you have equity in your home. You love your home. You're good with the home. you don't care to sell the home, but you have equity in the home, and you have at least above that 660 FICO score, there's an opportunity that you can pull a home equity line of credit up to 80% of the value after an appraisal has been done. So there's a process of this, right? So you're going to contact the lender. The lender's they're going to do the documents, get you pre-approved for a home equity line of credit, after which time they will send out an appraiser to appraise the value. And then once the value's in, they will determine 80% of that, how much you're able to get up to, and here's how much you'll pay back on what you receive, right? Now, you can use those funds to, let's say, get into residual income, such as income property. Not so much a house, right? We're talking about duplex, triplex, fourplex, and so on, depending on how much you have to work with as a down payment. Now, being that it's your second home, it may cost you 10, 20, 30% down. But remember, the home equity line of credit is good for it, right? And then you're going to show how you're paying that monies back. When you use that, is I'm purchasing an apartment, which shows income. They call it the rent roll. The rent roll, now keep in mind, each unit nowadays, these 2-bedroom apartments running $1,200. So let's say you're getting, $1,200 in times 4, right? At the end of the day, that's not a bad income, seeing that you purchased that with just using your home equity line of credit. Now, it's going to pay back the loan that you took on that home equity line of credit. And guess what? You're getting an income every month. It's going to pay the loan, one of the units, 2 of the units will pay back whatever that is, and the other 2 pay you. So you got an additional $2,400 coming a month just because you own it. Just because your home, your equity in your home was just sitting there. So if I ask you if your home equity could make money, would that be something you're interested in, getting passive income? Just going to work every day and you still got on top of what you're making on the job, you get an additional 24, plus you're getting the equity that's in the 4-unit building that you purchased. So there's a lot of benefit to using the equity. So there was several things that we spoke about that's available to you. So again, if someone passed away that's on the loan, they have a will, you're going to go into probate. I do have probate attorneys. I work with several. I've done probate transactions. In fact, I think one of my first transactions in 2005 when I got licensed in Nevada was a probate deal. Back then, it took like a year and a half. Now it takes about 3 or 4 or 5 months because there are not as many, and nobody was really was ready for the probate market when it hit, right? Nobody was really in a position. But let me just say, if that's something you got to deal with, contact me at 702-349-0162. Greg Deville, Deville Realty. Greg Deville, the wealth builder, the real estate man. I remember when I was a kid, the insurance man used to come to the house. Remember, he used to come knock on the door and pick up a payment? You remember that? Well, you probably too young to remember that. Mama, the insurance man here, he come with a suit. But I'm the real estate man. But I'm here to give something. I'm here to give funding to you. So if you haven't gotten into home ownership, ma'am, sir, friend, partner, let me help you. Let's get into it. Stop letting these landlords take advantage of you. And then you've been there 3, 4, 5 years. Then they decide to sell the house. Well, rightfully so. You paid down the mortgage. Now they got equity from what you've done. So if you've been through that before, that a landlord, you've been there for some years and they sold the house. If you've been there before, I want to hear from you because I don't want to see you do that again. Let me help you help you. 702-349-0162. I'm Greg Deville, the real estate broker, the wealth builder in the Valley. I'm here to help you get into creating generational wealth. I'm here every Wednesday at hot702.5fm.com. This is what I do. I enjoy helping families. We just closed in the last 2 days, 3 deals, helping families. This is what we do. And we want to continue to do it. But if I don't hear from you, I can't help you. And so I know there are a ton of realtors out there. It's about 15,000. We got about 8,000 homes on the market right now. So there's some product out there. Depending on your price range and your location, what you can afford. Your affordability is based on your debt to income ratio. So don't go getting out debt. Don't buy a new car. Car, then the house. How about that? How about the house, then the car? I'm sorry. The house, then the car. Okay? Because if you get the car, it's going to be that much longer before you get the house. So let's get the house, then the car, and then you can move forward from there. All right? So congratulations to all of those who just got their keys and working with Team Deville. Shout out to Kiana. She closed her first transaction at Deville Realty Group. She had a listing, so shout out to her getting it done. Congratulations. And to all the Deville team, we shout out to you today. We appreciate you. Marquetta Deville, she just closed another deal on her team. Yesterday, she called me and said she's ready to get paid. So let me go out here and write some checks. All right. So you're next in line. I've got to hear from you. Again, my contact info, 702-349-0162. I've got to get out of here. It's a great day in here in Las Vegas. The weather looks fair. Looking forward to a great weekend. At least Saturday. Sunday's supposed to rain, but nonetheless, looking forward to a good time, having fun, helping families. Until I talk to you next time, Las Vegas, and wherever you're listening to me from, I pray may God's best be yours. Take care.
Jones, hey, Greg Deville was at it, man. Hey, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help. You wanna be a broker, you wanna be broke. You wanna be the joker, you wanna be the joker. You gotta bring more to the table than your hope, dreams and wishing. I can feed you fish or I can take you out fishing. I can show you the vision, addition and division, mathematic equation. Make the money flip like an acrobatic, amazing. Greg Deville help you build the foundation. I'm saying, if you want the real, holla at Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. If you want the real, listen to Greg Deville. He'll tell you how to do it. Now get to it. I'm talking real estate, building wealth, making money for your family and yourself. Now tune in. We here to help. Now tune in. We here to help.